Today we've got some good news for Space Marine players, because it seems that Assault Intercessors are troops. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, the strategy focused 40k channel, where we've been covering the 9th edition news as it's been coming out from Games Workshop. Games Workshop today have released an article that talks about combat patrol and patrol detachments in general, and from this they've essentially shown off that one of the units in the Indomitus box set are troops, as one of their example patrol detachments includes a Primaris Lieutenant, 5 Assault Intercessors, a Blade Guard Ancient, 3 Blade Guard Veterans and 3 Outriders. I'm not saying it's literally 100% impossible that Blade Guard Veterans or Outriders could be regarded as troops, but honestly the clue for the Blade Guard Veterans is in their name. They're very much veterans, and are done in very much the same style of the veterans choices in the Space Marines Elite slot, and the Primaris Outriders are basically the exact equivalent of Space Marine bikes, and we've already seen from their datasheet that they move very fast indeed. I would just be absolutely amazed if they were not fast attack. I'm confident enough to make a video about it that Assault Intercessors are pretty much guaranteed to be troops now, which I'm really glad they are, to be honest. I thought it would have been pretty weird if the Indomitus box hadn't included at least one unit of troops in it. I don't think that any 40k starter set for either side of the armies going back quite a while now haven't included at least one unit of troops, and sometimes more. I think the other clues that we already had on top of this that also tie in are the fact that they're called Assault Intercessors as opposed to Assault Primaris Marines. Intercessors, as we know, are the line filler troop choices of the Primaris Marines, and also the fact that we get 2 sets of them in the Indomitus box, 2 exactly identical sprues, which seem pretty much in direct contrast to the Necron's 2 sprues of Necron warriors that they get, which I also think means that they're supposed to be counterparts within the box, matching 2 units of troops on one side with 2 units of troops on another if you feel like fielding them that way. Overall, I think that this is really good news for getting these fancy new models on the tabletop more often. Being a troops choice is going to allow us to get around the rule of 3, which can be very helpful for getting a large amount of them in your army, or even just running them as multiple small units, which might well be optimal. It'll mean that they get the objective secured rule, meaning that they can bully other units of objectives far easier, and I think that they'll be very helpful for filling out certain detachments, particularly in assault armies. It's going to be pretty heavily incentivized to take either a patrol, battalion or brigade, as if your warlord's part of these detachments, then you get the command points to buy them in refunded, so troops choices are linked to having more command points, at least in a small way like this. I think being troops really does make them a lot more viable compared with the obvious counterparts within the Primaris range, which are Primaris Reavers, an already existent Primaris unit with combat weapons and heavy bolt pistols. Apparently these guys' Astartes chainswords are going to get some sort of buff, likely an AP-1 or something similar. But other than that, you could potentially see them as poor man's Reavers, seeing as they don't have the fancy deployment options that those guys do. I think it's a major factor why we don't see Reavers in play anywhere near as much, because they're not a troops choice, and therefore compete against units that hit far harder, for example Primaris Aggressors, who can deal just ludicrous amounts of damage in range and combat. Instead, they'll be competing against the standard Intercessors, Infiltrators and Incursors for Primaris troops, as well as of course Tactical Marines and Scouts, where I think they will have their own niche. Point for point, I do suspect that these guys will hit harder than any of them in close combat, just with that extra attack and whatever boost that the chainsword gives them. There will be a bit of a trade-off though, as of course having the ranged weapon of the Intercessors is very useful, as is starting out of your deployment zone, as the Infiltrators and Incursors can do, and indeed pay a premium for. I suspect that these guys could be a very interesting choice for an Impulsor Rush type strategy, mirroring the Rhino Rush of old. 6 of these guys piling out of a transport and diving into light infantry could likely be a pretty serious threat, although I think that they might actually struggle to compete against Intercessors still if they can't take things like power weapons or thunderhammers on the sergeants. Having an Intercessor sergeant with a fancy power weapon, power fist or even a power sword really is a big addition to the squad in melee. It doesn't look like these come from them, at least on the Dark Imperium sprues. We'll have to see if that's an option when they get a multi-part plastic kit, which I honestly suspect they probably will. I think they could also be pretty powerful in combination with certain Space Marine Deep Strike rules, particularly the Raven Guard setting up 9 inches away from Deep Strike, as will get these guys where they need to be, though things like the White Scars and Space Wolves outflank special rules is pretty good, and in other chapters they could certainly make use of these new Strategic Reserve rules, which would at least guarantee them getting a 9-inch charge on one enemy unit. I think it could be pretty fluffy to have Blood Angel, Space Wolves or Black Templars have these as core troops as well. In my mind they just fit the archetype of these melee-orientated armies far better than the standard Intercessors, as glorious close combat with bolt pistol and chainsword is really what these sort of chapters are known for. Like I said, we can't be absolutely 100% certain that that's the case yet, but in my opinion the odds are just incredibly high now, and I'm pretty sure we'll get some confirmation of this over the next couple of weeks. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video and want to see some more regular 9th edition updates, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics. We have more 40k stuff pretty much every day. And if you've been enjoying my videos recently, I'd just like to mention that I do have an Element Games affiliate link, which is one of the ways that helps support the channel. Basically, if you are thinking about buying any model soldiers of any stripe in the near future, and you happen to live in the UK, then Element Games is an excellent discount retailer, and if you click through on the link in the video description, then anything you buy, a small amount goes to Auspex Tactics without costing you any more. It can just be a way to help support the channel if you were going to buy some miniatures anyway. I also have a very similar link for Amazon in the USA and Canada. That works pretty much the same. Basically, any Amazon purchases that you make on that, a small amount goes to help support the channel without costing you any more at time of purchase. They stock basically the entirety of Games Workshop's range, but also it works on anything else. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.